去年7月，也就是2009年的7月，我们颁布了上交所履行社会责任指数，从这318家上市公司中挑了100家上市公司，编了一个指数，上市公司履行社会责任指数，这是去年的数。今年的8月份，也就是前几天，我们在这个指数的基础上，又推出了上市公司履行社会责任的 ETF。这支 ETF 募集资金将近30亿，得到了投资者的认同。从目前的情况看，已经披露上市公司社会责任信息的这318家公司，披露的质量，我们说披露的质量，那应当说是参差不齐的。有一些公司披露的信息也没有经过评估部门的评估，但是我认为，上市公司履行社会责任，在上海证券交易所的公司中已经开始起步。有一句谚语叫做“有一个良好的开端，就等于成功的一半”。上交所上市公司履行社会责任，可以说已经有了一个良好的开端。我们将进一步推进上市公司提高公司治理水平，进一步推进上市公司履行社会责任，使上市公司善待员工、善待社会、善待环境，为中国经济更加和谐的发展做出我们自己的贡献。我想我就这么多，谢谢大家。
Chairman Gag, thank you for, a tour de force in terms of how an exchange approaches the balance between regulatory and voluntary. Figures I'm picking out are 65 IPOs, 2.3 trillion to 16 trillion yuan in terms of an increase in the market, and then 242 companies in terms of your indices. You have had a very busy period. I think you have had a very busy period indeed. So thank you for those opening comments. I think it set the frame perfectly. And I'm now going to move on to our second panelist, and we'll ask for a perspective from Europe, from the Luxembourg Exchange. So, Michelle, I also know that your exchange has a sort of an evolving and very dynamic interest in microfinance, or the micro world, which I think you might want to flag up during your opening comments. But over to you in terms of that voluntary regulatory balance and where the Luxembourg Exchange positions itself.
Sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I shall address this subject from two different points of view. Sorry. I shall address the topic from 2 points of view. First of all, I will talk a little bit about what we are doing for the last 50 years. And secondly, I will talk a little bit about trends affecting capital markets. And I will, as you asked me, Paul, very much focus on the European side. Well, we have been linked to specific activity, which is listing of international bonds in particular, but other securities as well. This started in the early 60s, and it went on until today, and we can estimate that we have listed something like 50,000 different bonds from issues from all over the world, in particular from Europe, but also Asia, Australia, even the Americas. What is important here to note is that these are listed in particular because of the requirements from institutional investors which can only invest in securities which are officially listed. Thus, meaning officially listed, there exists a regulatory framework to publish information by the issue and continuously publication requirements. This being said, when an issuer comes to the market and he needs money, he is extremely eager to publish information, in particular in the field of bonds. So we are a little bit privileged because first he's forced, he's eager to publish information, and on the other side we have very powerful institutional investors asking for information. And what we have found out over the last 50 years that the information published increased dramatically. It's very common to see issuing prospectus of something like 250 or to 300 pages, which is a lot. And also the framework is given by AML law, very strict. There is nonetheless a tendency to publish on issues, and we are coming to the ESG issues, which are subject in the limelight, which are making headline news, like environmental issues, etc., etc. So issues cannot but publish on these issues. One set of information which is very much published is obviously any aspects on environmental issues. But if you are a bank today, you cannot but also address issues of remunerations. Now, I don't know how much is regulatory, how much is voluntary, and how much is really forced upon by institutional investors. It would be interesting to distinguish a little bit how much comes from each. But anyhow, the result is extraordinary. Second point I want to make is trend concerning capital markets, and in particular in Europe and in the United States. It's towards very big market organization. I mean, we have seen the emergence of very big and powerful organizations like the Euronext, the Nasdaq, the Deutsche Börse, Chi-X recently. This leaves very little room for smaller organizations like ours. So we have to specialize in niches, what we did, one side with the listing of international bonds, but we went beyond, which is important for this issue, and going beyond is voluntary. We are not forced by any regulations. We started publishing information on our internet sites, as making them available to any investors, but also in a very structured manner to institutional investors through the channels of the big Reuters, Bloomberg and the like, about any listed securities. You have access to the issuing prospectus, for instance, of any listed security on our devices. So in a certain, to a certain extent, we are a central distributor of financial information emanating from the listed securities, from the issues of the listed securities. These are reference data, these are prospectuses, these are continuous information to be published during the lifetime of a security, or as long as security is listed. Well, these are 2 points I wanted to make here. When we had set up this infrastructure, we were asked, and you pointed already at it, but maybe we come later back to this issue about microfinance. In fact, we were asked to extend the infrastructure we had done to the whole Luxembourg investment fund industry. So what we are doing for any listed issuer with us, we are doing for any of the 1,500 or so Luxembourg investment fund divided in so and so many classes. I think there are something like 30,000 net asset value being calculated regularly. And for all these different categories, we are publishing a certain number of information. And a very tiny but extremely important category on these are microfinance investment funds. But maybe during this session we come back to this issue.
Michel, thank you for that perspective from Luxembourg. And I'm going to go straight across to Rani Rasaya, who's the Chief Regulatory Officer for Bersum Malaysia. So the floor is yours.